We're now going to look at some task cards for the common topic of internet. So we'll take a look at two different cue cards for this topic. Internet is definitely very common across all four sections of the IELTS test. So it's going to be really useful to take a look at some specific vocabulary we can use when speaking about the internet. So here is our first cue card. Describe a website that you often use. You should say what the website is, how you use it, how you learnt about it, and explain why it is important to you. Of course, you'd have 1 minute to get some ideas down onto paper in the plan format that I showed you previously, if you like. And then you've got to speak for up to 2 minutes. So we're describing a website that we use a lot. And we need to sort of discuss and explain what this website is. Okay, let's take a look at the first model answer. It's probably fair to say there are a lot of websites I use frequently. I suppose one of the most useful websites I enjoy using is Google. It might be a bit of an obvious choice, but for me, Google is a real Swiss Army knife that solves a lot of my daily problems. At its heart, Google is actually just a search engine, but it has so many more options now. Recently, I installed Google Suite, which is a collection of online apps. I use it often with friends to collaborate on schoolwork. Microsoft is so outdated now. I can't really recall when I started using it. It's such an important resource. I guess it was when I first started using the internet. When my family first got the internet, I used search engines like Yahoo or Ask Jeeves. I never visit those websites anymore. A great example of how I use Google is with research. Of course, not everything written on the internet is true. But Google is great for researching and finding articles that can help me write essays for college. I really find Google Sheets a handy application too. It's basically like Microsoft Excel, but with more features, and it's online. All in all, I'd say Google is an awesome website. And there we have a really well-structured answer to a task 2 cue card. There's lots of great vocabulary in here, and as well, this answer actually is structured very logically. So it answers all those different things on the cue card question. But it also gives lots of examples too. So it's a really great piece of a model answer. Let's take a look at some of the focused language in this answer. Okay, so up first we have this piece of vocabulary frequently, which gives an amount of time. If you do something frequently, like I use the internet frequently, it means I do it often. So I do it a lot. Here we have the collocation, an obvious choice. So if something is an obvious choice, it's an easy decision, an easy pick. And here is a metaphor, so some idiomatic language. If you call something, for example, Google, a Swiss Army knife, it means that this thing has a lot of uses. So if you call something a Swiss Army knife, it means that this thing has a lot of different uses. It's a very useful object or resource. Just an opener here, at its heart. So if we say, we're not actually talking about anyone's heart, but if we say at its heart, it means its true meaning. So Google's true meaning is actually just a search engine. Which leads me on to the next piece of vocabulary, the noun phrase search engine. So a search engine is something like Google or another type of search engine which lets us find websites online. Here I'm talking about Google Suite, which is a collection of online apps. Now, apps is quite simply applications, but shortened. So it's a very native sounding piece of vocabulary, apps. Collaborate means to work together on something, whether that be a website or it could even be a game. And here we have this phrase outdated. So not everyone would agree, but if we say something is outdated, it means it's no longer the most useful of its kind. It's old-fashioned. Okay, so this is a simple synonym for remember. And of course, do remember to use a range of vocabulary in your speaking. I can't really recall. I can't really remember. And here we have the verb visit for website. So we don't use different verbs for it. If we go onto a website, we use visit websites. A great example. So as I was saying, there's lots of examples in this answer too. Articles, quite simply, this is some kind of writing on a website. And finally, a great opening expression to end our speaking. In conclusion, all in all. So a really nice way to finish our speaking part. Okay, let's take a look at the next cue card. Discuss the most important benefits of the internet. You should say what the benefits are, why they are useful, how people use the internet, and explain if you enjoy using the internet. So we're discussing some of the benefits of the internet. Now, that's the main idea. If you were to mention some of the negatives too, that would also be okay, as long as we answer the main question and, of course, our bullet points, you should say. If you wanted to go on to talk about some of the negatives of using the internet, you could as well. But do make sure you're answering the cue card in full. So we're going to discuss the benefits of the internet, what they are, how the internet is used, and if we like using the internet. Let's take a look at the model answer. Even though the internet is considered a recent invention, it's definitely had a massive impact on society today. In fact, I'd go as far as saying it's revolutionized the way we live now. I can remember when we didn't have the internet, but I've got to say, I can't imagine life without it. Isn't that kind of sad? Many people believe there are plenty of pluses and negatives to using the internet, but I'll tell you about a few of the positives it has. For me, social media has had such a big impact on my life. It's so easy to stay in touch with everyone. Now I can speak with friends who live across the world, which really is a massive breakthrough compared to when I was a kid. I can even video call my friends and family too, and it's all free. The internet is a pretty amazing piece of technology, really. Another benefit is just for entertainment. It can be a bit of a waste of time, but there's so many interesting articles online that you can spend hours browsing through all the websites. YouTube can be a real time suck though. Again, a really nicely organised answer with a lot of real life examples about some of the benefits of the internet. Let's take a look at some of the top focused language in this answer. Okay, the first phrase I'd like to look at is this collocation, but as well this piece of vocabulary here, a recent invention. You commonly see this together, but an invention, of course, is a new product or object that can solve a problem. And here we have massive impact. So it sounds like something slamming into each other, but that's not actually the case. If we say something had a massive impact, it means that it changed the way most people live. For example, the internet had a massive impact on how people live in modern society. So a massive impact. We can talk about technology and internet using this phrase. And here we have revolutionized in a similar way to massive impact. If we say something revolutionized how we do something, it means it completely changed how we act, how we live. The internet revolutionized how we read articles and books and newspapers, because really a lot of people now read everything online, whether it's on their laptop or their phone. Just a native sounding phrase here, pluses and negatives. So if you say you're looking at the pluses and negatives of something, you're looking at the advantages and disadvantages. It's just another way that you can say this, but it's slightly more informal, so usually keep this to speaking. Here we have social media, which is websites and applications such as Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all these kinds of things that connect us with friends and people we might not know as well. That's social media. Here the collocation stay in touch. Kind of figurative language, so it's almost an idiomatic expression because we aren't touching, but we are still communicating. So if we can say, I stay in touch, you can say, I stay in touch through Skype calls or video calls, which is what a lot of people do now. Here we have breakthrough, which is how we can describe a piece of technology that is a recent invention that's really innovative. It solves a lot of problems. It's maybe a problem that we have had for a long time, and this new product is a breakthrough. It's finally solved a problem. Here we have video call, which is quite simply a collocation, but it's self-descriptive, I think. And finally, we have piece of technology. So when we describe technology, one part of technology, we call it a piece of technology. For example, a microphone is a piece of technology, and a motor is a piece of technology. Okay, into the last part. So we have a waste of time. If you say something is a waste of time, it means that you didn't get anything from the activity. Browsing is what we use to describe websites. So we browse websites. And finally, this rather informal phrase, but you could use it possibly in your IELTS speaking too. You can say something is a time suck. So if something is a time suck, it means that it wastes a lot of your time without you really noticing. For example, a lot of internet applications such as YouTube, Facebook, social media, they can be real time sucks and waste a lot of our time when we could be doing something more productive. Okay, so some lovely vocabulary here to discuss the internet. And that's all for this model answer. So see you in the next lesson.